Today we're going to talk about MoneyMe ASX MME. This company is all about providing loan solutions to Aussies, and they also have a few other products under their suite which we're going to discuss as well. And the big focus of this company is on technology, which is why this is a fintech company. Hey guys, my name is Faizy and this channel is about finance and investing. In this video we're going to discuss MoneyMe's current share price, some recent announcements, what the company does, its financials, and my personal opinion on the stock. Before we begin guys, as usual, this is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. We're speaking in a very general sense only. I just have a passion for finance and investing, same as you, so let's get into it. So starting off with the company's share price, we can see that this company was listed back in December 2019 and the return since then has been mostly negative at about minus 10%. And during COVID, we can see that the price fell around 67%, which is pretty similar to similar companies like this one as well. And the recovery since then has been pretty solid at a return of around 160%. However, looking at the share price for the last 6 months, we can see that the share price is mostly trading between the $1.30 to $1.65 mark, which means that it's trading mostly sideways and we haven't seen any significant price actions so far. I mean, there were a few price spikes around that late January mark because of an announcement that they made, which we'll get into, but then the price went down again. And similarly, looking at February, there was a similar spike when they made their half-yearly announcement, but the price has now returned to its normal levels pre-announcement. So let's look at a few recent updates for the company. So on their announcement on the 17th of November, they talked about their funding costs being reduced to 4.8% and the previous costs were 11.4%, which is a massive reduction if you really think about it. And this ultimately impacts their bottom line because if they can borrow the money at a cheap price, then they can lend the money out and make a bigger margin on those loans. And they can basically lend the money at the same rate that they were lending to and make a bigger margin, or they can charge good borrowers with good credit ratings a smaller rate and keep the customers happy and keep their loan book growing. Just to put it in very simple terms. Now before, they were partnered up with Velocity, but now they've gone with a new major bank to fund this facility, and there are huge benefits to not just MoneyMe but MoneyMe's customers as well, because MoneyMe is basically first of all lowering their cost base, and like I mentioned before, they can offer high quality customers loans at lower rates, which is going to make them happier as well and keep them as returning customers. And the announcement on the 23rd of February was quite a huge announcement because a major bank increased their funding commitment to 150 million. So this is basically a huge win for the company because it further validates their offering, because this Big Four bank is backing them even more, so MoneyMe can provide new loans and potentially loans at higher loan sizes as well. And we saw the share price rise a bit as well based on this announcement, but now it's back to pre-announcement levels. So let's have a look at what this company does and let's look at an overview of MoneyMe. So in a nutshell, MoneyMe's mission is to be the choice for Generation Now, which I thought was pretty interesting because I've never actually heard this term before, and this seems like a completely new term. However, I'm just thinking that they're referring to Gen Z and millennials based on this. So MoneyMe is basically a digital credit business, and what makes them different is the fact that they continue to innovate to deliver loans to customers in a fast, secure and automated way through AI, and they have a great NPS rating of 4.8 out of 5, and their customers are from a diverse background of age, location and occupation, which further diversifies the risk that they take on. And looking at their credit book, this looks pretty strong as well, which we will dive into specifically later on. Looking at some high level metrics, we can see that their website has had 1 million plus users so far. The app has had 1.5 million user sessions, and they've been able to automate 92% of the payments, and the average loan value is $8.2 thousand. So on the right here, as you guys can see, we can see that they've got their core personal loan offering along with the virtual MasterCard, which is basically like a line of credit. And then they've also got a shop now and pay later offering, which is basically a buy now, pay later offering, which is not really surprising at all because it looks like everyone is jumping on this bandwagon. But what I found most interesting here is the fact that they're not like a traditional lender where they only do personal loans and lines of credit. They've also diversified into different areas with their list ready and rent ready service, as you guys can see on this slide, which if we compare them to a similar competitor like Wyzer, they are differentiating themselves quite a bit by doing this. So let's have a look at what these two unique services actually are. So having a look at ListReady, which is the first service, we can see that it's basically a buy now, pay later solution when it comes to selling property. And we saw something similar with Domain a few months ago as well. So when it comes to selling, vendors do have to pay for a lot of things when it comes to home improvements, cleanings, basically getting the property ready to be sold, all to make sure that they get the highest sale price possible to maximize their returns. But a lot of the times, the trouble that they face is that they don't actually have the money to do all those things. This is where ListReady comes into place. So essentially, ListReady will pay real estate agents to carry out marketing and all that stuff, and vendors or sellers won't need to pay for it upfront like they do now. And once the property is sold, then ListReady is repaid. And looking at a high-level overview of ListReady, we can see that they can do $35,000 as a maxed service amount, and they partnered up with 500 plus agencies and over 2,500 agents, which is good to see that they're expanding. And we can also see some big names on here like Ray White, Rain and Horn, and a few others as well. And then we have RentReady, which allows landlords to spread out costs when it comes to their property related expenses instead of just paying them upfront, and this allows them to spread those costs over 24 months, which makes their cash flow a lot easier as well. So basically for MoneyMe, diversifying their business in this property space is pretty crucial because the Australian property is quite a hot topic basically whole year round, and solutions like this may be able to catch fast traction. Continuing on with the overview of this company, we can see that the net charge-off percentages are decreasing. We can see that it's currently down to 4.7%, which means that less debt is being written off at the moment in comparison to a greater proportion of people actually paying off their debts. And because they brought on better customers with high quality credit scores, they're keeping less provisions as well as a result. Now, one thing I do want to mention is the fact that we can see that the Equifax score has gone up from 611 to 638, which is no doubt a good sign. But to be honest, a score of 638 is still, it's okay. It's not the best score possible and it's not the worst score. It's just somewhere in the middle. So in my opinion, I wouldn't say that this is the best quality of customers that they have. I would say that somewhere over 700 is quite a good score to have. So it does seem that they are moving in the right direction. Now let's look into the financials of this company. But before we do, if you have found value in the video so far, guys, please leave a like and subscribe. It really helps out with the YouTube algorithm. Starting off with the P&L, as always, we can see that the interest income is on a steady increase from 19.1 million to nearly 22 million, which represents a gain of around 14%, which is quite good to see. And other income remains pretty similar to the previous period, and we can see that the total revenue has increased about 12% from 21.3 million to nearly 24 million. And jumping into the expenses, the thing that stands out to me the most is the sales and marketing expense. This was the biggest dollar value increase in expenses compared to the previous period, from 2,385 to 3,700, and this increased by over 50%. And you can see why that's the case. As they start to lower their funding costs, they want to advertise more to show customers that they're open for business, to basically attract new clients. Now, having a look at the product design and development expense, we can see a 30% increase, and that's to ensure that the platform is being the best that it can be. After all, this is a fintech company, so the tech side of things need to be pretty compelling. Now, after all of that, we can see that they've made a small profit of about 228,000 if we take out the income tax benefit, which is good to see because they're no longer losing money, and based on the trends, we should see this figure increasing over time. Having a quick look at the balance sheet, we can see that the cash and cash equivalents have gone down from 35 to 28.5, but the overall assets have increased mainly due to the net customer receivables growing pretty substantially from 120.7 to 154, which is a pretty big increase. And this is great to see because the company has originated more loans. And this net figure already includes a provision for some loans which will not be paid back by customers, either due to hardship or otherwise. And despite that, this figure has still grown. So overall, it's good to see a healthy cash balance of 28.5 million and growing revenues. Looking at the cash flow statement for this company, we can see that the main inflow of cash was from income from customers of 19.7 million through giving out loans and through borrowing the rest of the money of 27,000 instead of raising the money through shares, which brings us to the final cash balance of 28.5 million. Now guys, what do I think of the company? Let's talk about it. So I first heard about MoneyMe before they even IPO'd when I was dealing with a customer at work, and this particular customer had so many credit cards, personal loans, payday loans, and MoneyMe was actually one of those facilities that they had. And to be very honest guys, this customer was not in the best financial position possible because they didn't have the highest income, they had very low savings, and they were paying a lot of money through interest. And now guys, whenever I think about MoneyMe, I always think about that customer, and I feel like if I was to personally invest in MoneyMe as a business, I think I would be promoting more of that behavior. And to be honest, I don't really feel comfortable about that, so I'm not going to invest in them at the moment. But if I was to think rationally and ignore all these emotions, I do think that MoneyMe as a business, because they're diversifying into sectors like property through these services that they have, I think it's pretty innovative and I think it's pretty good. And in their announcement, they also mentioned that they're going to have some more products and more partnerships in the future, so they can basically diversify their income streams in the future, which is quite good to see. So I do think this stock is a good one to look at, especially because they've got the cash available to make those investments and their profits seem to be increasing as well. If you like this video, check out this one I made about Wyzer. This company is a direct competitor to MoneyMe. These guys are also doing some pretty interesting things in the fintech space, so I think you'll like this one. And this is my individual stock analysis playlist. I've analyzed some really good fintech stocks here, so check this video out. And guys, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye now. Balance sheet, we can see that the cash and cash equivalent